In the spring of 1922, a small farm in Bavaria became the site of one of the most disturbing unsolved crimes in European history. Not because of what happened there, but because of what happened before. The farm was called Hinterkaifeck. It sat isolated between Munich and Ingolstadt, surrounded by forest and farmland. The nearest neighbors were far enough away that screams would not travel far. The Gruber family lived there quietly. Too quietly. Days before the murders, Andreas Gruber, the head of the household, noticed something strange. Footprints. They led from the edge of the forest toward the farm. But none led back. He followed them to the barn. Then they stopped, as if whoever made them had vanished into thin air. Andreas searched the property. Nothing. No intruder. No missing items. But the feeling remained. Something was wrong. Then other things began to happen. Keys started disappearing. The farmhouse door unlocked itself. Footsteps were heard in the attic, slow, deliberate pacing above their heads at night. When Andreas climbed up to investigate, he found nothing. New person. No animals. Just silence. Days later, the family's maid quit without warning. She claimed the house was haunted. She refused to say more. A new maid arrived shortly after. She would only live on the farm for a few hours. On the night of March 31st, 1922, the Gruber family stopped responding to neighbors. No lights, no movement, no smoke from the chimney. Still, no one intervened. The farm was isolated. Privacy was common. Silence wasn't unusual. 4 days later, neighbors became concerned. A mechanic arrived to repair farm equipment. He noticed something unsettling. The livestock were still being fed. The animals were alive. Someone had been caring for them. Recently, when authorities finally entered the barn, they discovered the bodies. 6 of them. Andreas Gruber, his wife, their daughter, 2 grandchildren, and the new maid, all murdered. Each body showed the same cause of death: blunt force trauma. A farming tulamaticus, later believed to be the weapon. The victims were killed one by one, lured into the barn, struck from behind. The positioning was deliberate, careful, almost ritualistic, but the most horrifying detail came later. Evidence suggested the killer had remained on the farm after the murders. 4 days, maybe longer. Food had been eaten. The stove had been used. Beds appeared, slept in. Someone had stayed with the bodies. The killer did not flee immediately. They lived there, worked there, fed the animals, waited. There were no signs of forced entry. No robbery. Money was left untouched. The motive was unclear. Suspects emerged quickly. Neighbors, former employees, even family members. But none could be proven. Some had alibis. Others were questioned and released. The weapon was never definitively linked to anyone. One suspect was particularly unsettling. A man who reportedly confessed then retracted his confession. Another was a neighbor who seemed to know details only the killer should know. None were convicted. The crime scene itself was compromised. Crowds walked through the farm. Evidence was disturbed. The barn was dismantled years later. The house destroyed. The land reclaimed. As if the world wanted to erase what happened there. But questions remain. Who was in the attic before the murders? Who left the footprints? Who stayed with the bodies? And why? Some believe the killer was known to the family, someone trusted. Others believe it was a drifter or a former worker or someone who never left. Someone who had been there all along. Nearly a century later, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved. No killer, no conviction, no closure. Just a farm where someone watched, waited, and walked away.